Hello, my name is Jaime Flores, and it's an honor for me to be able to speak to you today, all the way from Israel. Like I said, my name is Jaime Flores. I'm in Israel right now. I'm in the area of Haifa, visiting my friend Leanne Mason in Return to Zion congregation. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm married to a beautiful wife, my perfect helper, my all. Her name is Jeanette, and the Lord has blessed me with her for the last 34 years. We have two boys, and we have two grandchildren. We are blessed. Today, this moment, I want to talk to you. I wish my story was about a great story, but it's actually a story of suffering, as a story of success, and as a story that I hope that it will touch your life and will give you hope. So if I was to, I never really talked about myself as much I probably will do today. And so I hope that this blesses you. So I'm in Israel right now, visiting the congregation, but also we're going to be doing some sightseeing. And I really believe that where we stand right now, where I am right now, not only as a man of God and my family in our ministry, All for Him Ministries, I believe that everything has come to this point where I am right now because of the God of Israel, Yeshua. Because Jesus Christ, to Him I give Him all the glory and all the honor, because He's the only one that can make someone like me be where I am today. And you're going to find out in a moment what I'm talking about. Like I said, I wish my story was a story of just success and nothing but success. But in reality, my story is a little bit different than others. My story is a story of suffering. It's a story of success that can apply to every person, I believe, in the whole universe. And I think that that's why God allowed me to go through all this. I was born in Guatemala, Central America. My mom is actually Argentinian, and her origin is Argentinian and Italian, and my dad Guatemalan, and that's all I know. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my childhood, and hopefully I won't miss a step to get to where I am right now. So, and right to the point. Since I remember when I was about 6 years old, I witnessed the first murder in my life. I saw my neighbor, who was my good friend, get killed by his grandfather. He beat him to death, and I was standing right there experiencing his death. It wounded me for a long time. It's something that impacted me. There was a trauma in my life, nightmares, and all kinds of crazy things in my life because of that. When I was about 9 years old, my dad left us. He abandoned my mom and my brothers and sisters. And I must tell you that I grew up with a father who was angry, very angry, who verbally abused my mother and verbally abused my brothers and sisters. Since I remember, all I had in my life was anger. Anger. I used to love soccer. I used to love play soccer. And my dad will just tell me, you know, you'll never be any good. You're never going to amount to anything. So you better stop. When I was about 7 years old, I would play with the kids that were 16 years old. Teams that you know, everything goes by ages, because they thought I was good. And my dad would just pull me out of the field and do not allow me to play. Anger was just be building in my life. After my dad left us a couple years later, I witnessed one of my brothers, who I love dearly, get murdered. His ex-girlfriend's uncle ran him over with his car, and he died. And I was with him in the last few seconds and minutes of his life. That just grew my anger. But now my anger was not just about hating others or anything like that. Now it was about hating others, but also not very happy with God. And I'm even afraid to say that I hated God, because I don't think I ever felt that, but I just couldn't believe that the God that the Bible says that loves us would allow my brother, who loved him, who dedicated his life to serve him, to die in the tires of this car. My brother died when he was 19 years old. He got killed when he was 19 years old. I couldn't believe it. My anger, as you can see, is just growing and growing and growing. Nothing is working to this point in my life. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. I made a decision when I was about 13 years old that I was going to kill the man who killed my brother. And in the process, might as well as kill my dad, because I hated him with all my heart. Because I blame him for my suffering. And so I joined this group. ORPA was called, as a revolutionary group in Guatemala that worked with the students at that time. And I told them, I said, I will join you, but I have to kill this person and this person. And they said, no problem. We will help you to do that. And thank God that never happened, never took place, because I believe that God had a plan for my life. And I was just in the process of getting there. So when I got caught in Guatemala by being in this group that started as a group of students, revolutionary students, the government gave me 24 hours to leave the country. And so at that time, my uncle was the president of the aviation in Guatemala, and he helped me. He says, I can just turn you in, but because of your mother, I'm going to help you. And they got my passport and everything all together. And they put me on a bus and they shipped me to United States of America. I was a little boy, I was 16 years old, and away to a country that I didn't know what to expect. For sure, I knew that they spoke a different language. I didn't know about the people. Guess what? I was angry. Now, not only I don't have anything, but I'm leaving what I know, my mom, my brothers, my sisters. I'm leaving them behind, and I'm going to a place where I don't know what's going to happen to me, who's going to help me, and how I'm going to make it. So I get to the United States, and I couldn't believe that someone could love me, because I never received love. I remember talking to my mom briefly, because my mom was always busy working to be able to support us. And my dad left us, so I really didn't have a relationship with neither one of them. My friends were my bad friends that would drink and smoke marijuana with me when I was sad and when I was angry. So I come to the United States at the age of 17 years old. My experience is not good. Come to a country with a different culture, different language. But I meet this young girl in the church, in the congregation, who likes me. And I couldn't believe that someone would like me, because I was not good. I couldn't give love, and I couldn't receive love because I never had that experience. But we started dating, we started a relationship, and as we were dating, I began to feel like things were about to change in my life. She invited me to go to church. She was already going to church, but then I continued to go to church. She would invite me to go to church, and I would go with her, but I was not committed. I would just go just to see her. Her parents would invite me, and I would go just to see her. While we were dating, I had a student visa. I couldn't work in the United States. So one day, they invited me, these Mexican people invited me to go to work for a little bit, just one day. And the immigration comes in, and I get caught by the immigration. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they asked me where I was from. And I'm making this story, long story short. And I told them that I was Mexican, because if they will send me back to Guatemala, I probably will get killed or end up in jail and later killed. So another trauma in my life. Guess what? More anger in me, just building up. When I thought that things were getting better, they're just getting worse. And worse and worse and worse. Now I'm on the bus going to Mexico, a country that I actually just went by the first time, but I never been in this part of the country, never met anybody there. It was just not a good thing, not a good expectation. And so I get to Mexico, and I'm begging for money, asking in the market people if they could give me money for food or feed me. And I remember my mom used to say, "Son, I always give poor people food, so when you ask for food, they will always give you something to eat. So never be afraid to ask for food. Always ask, because I give for you." And so I don't know if my mom knew the future, but I got to be hungry and people fed me. So I was in Mexico about 2 weeks, and I had to pay someone to bring me back to the United States. And I slept in the mountains. We will go and rob vegetables and fruits in different places to be able to eat, because we didn't have no food. We will get a fire at night because it was freezing up in the mountains, and then we will sleep during the day when the sun was out. I didn't think that I was going to be able to make it back to the United States and be with the girl that I love. And so I made it. I went back to the United States. It took me a long time to get back. And I told my wife, my girlfriend at that time, that we had to get married to secure me in the United States. And but people will tell her, we didn't tell anybody about this. That was just our plan. But people will tell her, don't ever marry this man. He's no good for you. He does drugs, he drinks, he's no good for you. Stay away from him. He's bad. Bad news. He doesn't treat you good. And they were right. But she had a call from God to be my perfect helper. God chose her. She suffered for a long time because of me. So we got married, and we had the 2 boys and now 2 grandkids. But I still didn't know the Lord. Things began to change in me, and I went to school. I became an electrical engineer, got some degrees here and there, and things were good for me. Things were happening in me. I thought, I don't need God. I'm doing good. I became what we call a materialistic person. I would change cars every 2 years. We bought a house. And for many people, probably it's nothing. But for me, who never had anything and suffers from since the moment that I remember until that point, it was a lot. And so everything was good. We opened a restaurant. I told my wife, because I don't know what to do with all this money. So we're going to invest in a restaurant. And the restaurant did really bad. And that's how I got to really know the Lord. I prayed one day when I didn't have no more money. I used all my credit cards. The bank says no more money for you. I prayed to God. I cried out to God, and I said, God, I need this amount of money. I have to pay my employees tomorrow. And I understand that I'm not going to open the door and money is just going to rain from heaven and I'm just going to receive. But I believe if you are God, you can do this. You can help me. I said, I know people who have other religions, who don't know you. They don't like you. And me, that I am a Christian, I have nothing. And so I pray and I pray and I pray. And that night in the restaurant, we were able to make money, everything that I needed for next day and more. We made what we sell in 2 weeks, we made it in 1 day. And then at midnight, I remember that night when we were cleaning up and taking the garbage out, I told my employees, I said, listen, this was God. And I promised God that I will give him my life if he helped me. And I said, because I didn't have money to pay you tomorrow. And so I kneel right at the parking lot and I said, Lord, I surrender my life to you. And I promise you, Lord, that if you come into my life, I will never be the same. And God came into my life and I began the process of transformation. Have I sinned after that? Absolutely. We all sin. We all failed. Life, the Bible says that as long as we're in this world, we're always going to suffer. But it's a big difference with suffering without God and suffering with God. Now I got God on my side. I'm suffering, I can go to God. I'm in pain, I can say, Lord, I surrender my pain to you. I believe that God had a plan for my life like he has for your life, you that you're listening to me today. God has a plan for you and everyone that's listening, just like he has for me. So in 2005, the Lord put in my heart to start this ministry that is called All For Him Ministry. So you can go online and punch in allforhim.net and you can hear about our ministry. And I believe that the success of this ministry, it's all for Him. It's all for the glory of God. It's nothing. We are the extended hand of God. I always say when people ask me, what is missions? And I say, missions is what God can do through me so He can be glorified. It's not about what I can do for others. It's about what He can do through me so He can be glorified. So we started All For Him Ministries. We do water wells in the deepest part of the jungle of Peru. We built a nutritional center in Guatemala. We now work with orphanages and foster homes in Guatemala. We build schools and churches in Peru, in Argentina, in Nepal, in Ethiopia. We're all over. We are in Cambodia. We are everywhere. But I truly believe that the success of this ministry is based on the seed that we plant in Israel, in this congregation. Because it's unbelievable what God has done through this ministry. At this moment that you're watching this recording, there is people getting saved that we don't even know. Because it's not about us, it's all about Him. My story is not a story of prosperity. Like many people preach about prosperity. You can speak things that don't exist into existence. Lies after lies. Prosperity is when we get to know the Lord and we get to serve Him and we get to understand His greatness, His power, and His mercy for others. And I just pray that this testimony will encourage you. The Bible says in Ephesians that God has equipped us to do the work of His kingdom. Can God use someone like me who has suffered, who has made many, many mistakes in his life? Absolutely. He can use you too. And I pray that this bless you and bless your children and your children's children for generations to come. And I give Him all the glory and all the honor. God bless you.